Good morning on this snowy day in Boston. Great when it snows, you get a little bit of a coating and then it's gone later in the day. You get to enjoy it without the mess. In any case, one of the most remarkable things that we read about in the Bible and that we remember every Shabbat is the story of the manna from heaven. The Torah tells us in this week's Torah portion that every single day when the Jews were in the desert, they had nothing to eat. There was a miracle. The manna from heaven would fall, and the Jews would have what to eat. In fact, every Shabbat, at our table, and those of you who have been to our Friday night table know we have the delicious challah, and we have 2 chalot on Friday night. Why do we have 2 chalot? Because every day the manna would fall, and on Friday, God told the Jewish people, tomorrow is Shabbat, a day of rest. And therefore, take an extra portion today so you can prepare for tomorrow, because tomorrow there will be no manna. What does it mean, manhu? The Torah tells us that when the manna fell from heaven, the Jews said, manhu. That's why it's called man. What is this? They didn't know what it was. They never saw such a thing. Literally, manna falling from heaven. We still have the saying till today. Sometimes when something amazing happens, you say it's like manna from heaven. The Jews didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to do with it. They knew that it was delicious, but they were remarked by what it was. But then, when the manna fell on Friday, the Torah tells us that it tasted like a cracker, sweet like honey. And the question all the rabbis ask is what happened that in the beginning, the Jews had manna, they didn't know what it was. And suddenly Friday comes, and the manna falls a double portion. And suddenly the Jews realized and recognized that the manna was sweet like honey. It was delectable, delicious food. And they enjoyed it so much. And the rabbis say something that's so important, so simple, so important, yet so deep and important to our lives. The rabbis tell us that that's the story with all of our lives. Sometimes there are things that are so beautiful, so delicious, so remarkable. Yet because we're running around and so busy with life, we don't even pay attention and notice the things around us. You wake up and it's snowy in Boston and you realize the miracle that it takes for snow. You realize the beauty. You look at the trees. You go out on a hike. You climb a mountain. You run around every day. The sun rises, the sun sets. There's trees, there's roses, there's clouds. There are so many remarkable things in our lives every day, yet because we're running around so much, we don't pay attention to it. But that's the story of Shabbat. Shabbat is there for us to take a pause and to stop and look around the world and see all these miracles, see the wife that's so remarkable. See the husband who's so caring. See the children that are such a blessing in our lives. See the friends, see the boss, see the neighbors, and pay attention to all the blessings in our lives. And that's the message the Torah tells us. Manu, in the beginning, they didn't know what it was. In fact, the rabbis tell us something remarkable, that the manna, whatever you thought about when you ate it, that's what it tasted like. So if it was a rib steak, it tasted like rib steak. If it was delicious ice cream, or it was a great salad, it tasted like a salad. Basically, it was all about your mind, what you paid attention to. And the same is true with our life and the blessings in our life. If you look with your eyes and look for the positivity and see the good, look around to us, that's what's going to be full of our life. In fact, the rabbis tell us what happened if someone ate the manna and he didn't think about anything. What did it taste like? Nothing. You know what the message is? Sometimes you can run through life and not pay attention to all the blessings around you. And what do you have? You have nothing. A few weeks ago we were sitting at our Shabbat table with a few families, like we love doing every Friday night, and we ate the challah, and we celebrated Shabbat. And the families that we were sitting were just remarked. They were so in awe of keeping Shabbat. And they were trying to figure out how we go about shutting our phones before Shabbat. And they say, do you power it off? Do you turn it over? Do you keep it charged, but you look at the notices? And I said that usually I shut it. If it's not charged, I'll plug it in. I'll put it on silent. I'll turn it over. And I don't look at it the entire Shabbos. Not the notice. What about the games? What happens if someone wants to get a hold of you? What happens if there's an emergency? I said, listen, the house phone's always on. If someone calls enough times, we'll know there's an emergency, but we tune out. And they were so amazed, and they said, wow, if we could only do that even for a few hours on Shabbat, because then we would be able to notice the children around us, because they were sitting at our Shabbos table. We spent 3 hours together, and we spoke about each other, about all of our families, about our children. We kibitzed with the kids. We sang songs. We ate delicious foods. Suddenly, we recognized the blessings around us and all the beautiful things. And that's a story the Mana teaches us. Manu, if you're not going to stop and take a Shabbos, then you're not going to be able to recognize the blessings around you, the sweetness, the happiness, the joy. Tomorrow is a special day in the Chabad calendar, and I'll speak about it tomorrow, the day that the Lubavitcher Rebbe took on his leadership. But it's also a special day for our family, because we will be going to New York, in and out tomorrow morning and coming back tomorrow, because Moshe, our 4th son and our 7th child, will begin wrapping tefillin. For the first time, we begin wrapping tefillin 2 months before your bar mitzvah. His bar mitzvah is on the 11th of Nisan, so he starts this week to wrap tefillin. We'll be celebrating his bar mitzvah after Pesach, but his bar mitzvah is in 2 months. And originally we said, we'll start wrapping tefillin, and we'll do it in the shul or in his class. And then Moshe said to us, 1 second, he says, for my brothers, we went into New York, and the grandparents who were there came, and we did it next to a holy site, next to the Rebbe's resting place. Why not the same for me? And we realized that, sometimes you get so caught up in life, and we've already had 3 bar mitzvahs, that we forgot how beautiful and delectable this celebration is, how beautiful and delectable this boy is, and that he deserves that special day to pause for him and to take the time out and to celebrate him the way he deserves to be. That's the message of Man. We might have 10 children. We might have so many blessings in our lives. We might have so much, and we might be so busy. But if we don't pause, and we don't have Shabbat, then we won't recognize the sweetness, the joy. If we're not cognizant and focused, and if we don't open up our eyes, then life could be a blur. Have a great day. May you always see the blessings in your life.